She's a wonderful teacher. She's very, very special. So I'm very happy you had the chance, to have teachings. Actually, she's coming back soon. I think she starts first week of January, something like this, Jack. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
I think first week, Jack's, not January. So that's very good. So you guys can have the pleasure to receive teachings from Venerable Tendon. That's very good. So that's nice. And Isabel, so good to see you.
Yeah, I was in my son's house in Spring Hill, close to Tampa. That's why
Oh,
I'm
far away, very far away. So,
5 hours and a half.
yes, America, everything is Florida, everything is far. So that's okay. That's very okay. So good to see you as well. You're okay? Family okay? Everything okay?
Yes,
Yes.
thank
Cats okay?
you.
Okay, so let's do it. Once we are here, once we decided to come together, you guys stop at doing very important things, because I know your lives are very busy. You have family, you have work, you have some other things to do, but you decided because, you are very kind. And because, in a way or another, you decided to come here today because you want to, you know, as everything else that you do, everything else that we do, we want to find happiness in whatever we do, in whatever we say, in whatever we think, in whatever way we have it. We are trying, to find happiness. That is the basis, the underlying, the fundamental, intention that we have in our minds. So, if this is what we are trying to do, then whatever you came, the reason, whatever superficial might like this, or whatever superficial reason it might look like it is the reason why you came. I'm not saying that it's not because of, like, maybe, you were feeling a little bit like this, or you wanted to hear that, or something like this. But the basis, the underlying basis of the reason why we are all here together is because we want to find happiness in whatever we do. But not only happiness, but especially we want to find a lasting, peaceful type of happiness. We are a little bit tired of actually finding temporary pleasures, often finding things that give us very short, temporary pleasures, pleasures of the senses, especially things that we look, smell, that we see, that we, that we touch, that we taste. These are all very good, but that they create that sense of, oh, it's not enough. Oh, I need something else. Oh, I need something else. And therefore, the reason why we need something else is because we are looking for something that can truly give us this lasting, peaceful type of happiness. And especially that happiness is a mental happiness. It's a happiness that comes, from a mental state, for cultivating a mental state. So that means that the reason why we are here, and the reason why it's important that we generate and we try to turn our minds towards a positive motivation, a positive intention for listening, for sharing, for discussing things that we're going to discuss today, is because if we actually turn the mind towards something that might actually truly um, faithfully, I'm going to use this word, trustfully, actually can bring us that happiness, peaceful type of long lasting type of happiness. Therefore, if we create the causes for it, that means that slowly, step by step, we're going to actually achieve that type of happiness. But if we come with the same mind that goes to publics looking for happiness, into the, what is there is in happiness, the Nutella. There is Nutella in
Yes.
or you go to Casa Maya, to the Mexican restaurant looking for happiness in the burrito. So if we look for those types of happiness, then whatever we're gonna find here is might be just that, right? Just a very short term temporary pleasure for the mind. So, but actually, if we create the intention that we're going to use whatever we say, whatever we discuss, whatever we talk about, whatever we're going to rationally, kind of like logically put into thinking and practice in our own minds, then we want these to become the causes for our long lasting happiness. Then guess what? It becomes. That is the amazingness of the law of cause and effect, right? Just that things have a cause, and therefore, if we create the necessary causes and conditions, the effect is going to be there. Hmm? So that's what we are trying to do. So that's why it's always important that whatever we do, whatever whenever we are doing something, even if it is not a spiritual, teachings like here or a spiritual practice or a meditation practice, not only in those moments, but everything that we do in our daily lives, everything can become the causes for our long-lasting happiness if we create the mental attitude, right? If we create the mind that can help us achieve that. So that's why today we're gonna finally, is the last talk of this uh, series of talks that we have been talking about, about the mind and about especially developing a compassionate mind. We're going to talk today about the potential of our own minds to create a, a mental state that can truly bring us to the last peaceful happiness that we are looking for. Hmm? So that's what we're going to really talk about today. So this is very important that we try to generate that mind of like, okay, so whatever I try to hear, whatever I try to say, whatever I try to think about it, may I use it to transform my own mind. To transform in what way? Well, the transformation that we want is to realize where we are at. And where we are at is not only that we want to be happy, but especially we are starting to realize that we have quite a lot of unpleasant discomfort and suffering mental states and experiences in our lives. Hmm? We all been there that we wake up a little bit blue, feeling a bit down, So, and then something happens, and then we feel a bit like, or we have a big argument with someone that we love or we care, and then we become a bit like, wow, So all of these emotions that really makes us disturbed, or we get very angry because someone did something to us, or very jealous because we really wanted something, right? Or we get very attached to something or someone that we can not even think straight, right? So all of these emotions, they are called disturbing emotions because they disturb the peace of mind, right? So not only we want to achieve lasting peaceful happiness, but in order for us to have lasting peaceful happiness, we need to eliminate these types of suffering, which are the causes for the suffering, these emotions. So we need to eliminate the emotions, and we need to eliminate the patterns, the habitual tendencies that they create in our minds, right? So these are the two things that we actually want to achieve. We want to completely, not only decrease, but eliminate those negative emotions and those patterns, those habits, that those negative emotions create in our minds. Automatic responses, yeah? These kind of like reactions that we have. So we want to eliminate those. And the way for us to eliminate those is that first we need to decrease them. And the way to decrease them is by exchanging. Yes? Exchanging or transforming those negative emotions for what? For more positive ones. Yes? So that's why we talked about a few weeks back or last week, but especially 2 weeks ago, we talked about developing, mental states, positive mental states like equanimity, right? The mind of equanimity, the mind that thinks and understands that in reality, our lives, in what we want is to be happy as we have been saying, this long-lasting type of happiness. Everything that we do is looking for that, and everything that we do is also to eliminate and to not have suffering and to not have dissatisfaction and to not have any sort of, discomfort. But the thing is that we believe that we are absolutely different from every single person in the universe, every single being in the universe. We think we are different. Just because for me, happiness is in a burrito, and for Mason, it's in the Nutella, right? So we think that this makes us different. But actually, the if we analyze and we really try to look a little bit down, a little bit deeper, the desire for happiness, the wish for happiness, and the wish to be free from suffering that I have looking for it in the burrito, and the same desire and wish for happiness that Mason has when he's looking for happiness, in the Nutella, exactly the same. Equanimous. Is that what the word we say? Yes, Jack.
I don't know. Equanimity.
Equanimous? We say, can we say
Maybe.
Equal.
Maybe.
equal? Yes,
Equal.
thank you.
Okay.
Mason, I also invent words. So you're gonna be here. We're gonna find new words.
Equanimous might be a word. You have to look.
Yes, equal. So they are equal, right? And especially if we really think about, they are equal in the sense of, then why my happiness is more important than that of Mason or Bob or Iris. Iris is looking very pretty today. Iris, you're looking very nice with your new hair. I like it. So, what happens is that we think that there is difference, and there is difference of priorities, isn't it? We think that our happiness is the most important one and is the only one that we should prioritize and have, kind of like give attention to and looking for. And that belief creates what we call the self-centered, selfish attitude. Yeah. We believe that actually fulfilling our wish for happiness and, really looking into ways to avoid our own suffering only only for ourselves is the cause of us being able to achieve long-lasting happiness. Does it make sense what I just said? Yes? We
Yes.
believe, so our belief that acting in a self-centered, selfish way, believing that my happiness, my wish for happiness, its priority or is bigger, is more important, is more special than that of Mason and of everybody else. We believe blindly that this is the cause. This is going to bring us into developing this long-lasting, peaceful type of happiness that we truly wish. Isn't it? Do you understand? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Yes? It's not that we are stupid. It's not that we are kind of like selfish because we are bad people. No. We are just that because we believe the method for us to use it, yeah? For us to achieve that long-lasting happiness and that absence or the elimination of suffering is by being self-centered, selfish. We believe in that. And what happens is that many times life will bring to us a lot of temporary satisfactions, right? By being selfish. We're gonna get we're gonna get the burrito, we're gonna get the Nutella, we're gonna get, the person, we're gonna get, the job that we wanted. And guess what? That feeling of dissatisfaction is gonna still be there and sometimes even worse. When we actually get what we want. So what happens is that then we need to start investigating, does it make it sense? Is it really the best approach? Is it really the best way? So then we started to think about it and to talk about developing other positive emotions, right? We talked about developing a mind that starts to realize that when I actually exchange that selfish, that self centered attitude, method to try to find happiness only for myself, when I think about, wow, how happy Mason will be if he, when I go to Publix and I see the Nutella and I say, wow, how happy he would be if he would get Nutella. That mind, when I am thinking about Mason's happiness, I become happy. I'm happy. I'm like, wow, he would be so happy. So I'm happy. Why I'm happy in that moment? Because I am free in that moment from that self-centered, selfish attitude, which actually makes me completely obsessed with my own happiness and only looking to fulfill that wish for long-lasting happiness through or by or yeah, through uh, temporary sensory pleasures. I'm free from that. Does it make sense? Are you guys following? Is it making sense? Mason, is it making sense?
Yes.
Yes? Um,
Yes.
Isabel, you have a question? I think I can see a
No,
little.
it's no question. I say, I want to say I'm very happy to come to learn the Buddhism because
Yes.
I always wanted to learn that. So I have, people around, they say, why, blah, blah, blah. So because, my family was Catholic, but I always want from the younger to learn about Buddhism. So I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
now I'm doing.
Very good. We are very happy you are here.
Thank you.
That's what we are. So we are very happy that, but you know what? It's funny because you say that, but this is very funny because you say, I'm very happy that I am being able to learn Buddhism. But you know, Buddhism is a tool. That's the reason why we become happy when we actually start to learn and to learn more about our minds. And as I like to say, the mechanics of our minds, is that we start to understand that there are ways to transform the mind. That we don't need to continue with those ups and downs, right? The roller coaster of emotions that we go through, our daily lives, that we are able to actually control a little bit more our emotions, especially the negative ones, and that we can cultivate and develop and increase the positive ones, which create a sense of well being for ourselves. So, understanding that, wow, brings us happiness, right? And the more we actually understand that, the more we start to observe that our wish for Mason to have just Nutella, it's actually a very small wish, right? Because I know that he's going to enjoy it, but it's going to be a temporary sensory pleasure. So I start to think, well, actually, I hope that he can enjoy the Nutella, but that him enjoying the Nutella can make him really develop a wish to be free, right? From whatever dissatisfaction that he can have in his life. But not only that, I want him to be completely, ultimately happy, that he can find this lasting, peaceful type of happiness. So then the mind starts to grow even bigger. And the sense of well being and happiness for myself starts to go even bigger. Because we start to develop love. Yes. Love in Buddhism, the definition is the wish for others to find happiness. But just love is not enough. We want to have great love, supreme love. What is great and supreme love? It's a love that is completely focus on one thing, because I understand that what brings happiness to my mind is not only having the burrito or the Nutella, but is actually having a mental state that is peaceful, long lasting, right? And it's a mind that is free from that selfish, like grasping, attitude. When I am free from that, then I can finally start to touch that long lasting type of happiness, mental happiness that I am able to experience. So if I am able to experience this myself, then I start to say, wow, I hope that Mason, and I hope that David, and I hope that Chrissy, and I hope that, Tyler, and then Iris, and then Iris, and Bob, and everybody can have that. So then my heart and my mind starts to become happier and full of love, right? And that is a very special feeling. And guess what? Free of charge. No need for anyone or anything. You don't need to actually start buying Nutella to Mason. Actually, we shouldn't, because Nutella is very bad for your health. But but actually, we should just starting to think in this way. Create that wish in this way. And then, we can create that wish not only when we go to the supermarket, but everything that we do. When I am, washing the dishes, well, Americans don't wash dishes, they just put everything in the dishwasher. But even when I'm like putting, everything in the dishwasher, I can just be thinking, wow, I hope that these can really be of benefit to others, right? And I can hope that this can, clean all of my problems as well. Mental problems, not only the food, the leftover, the food, but I can think, why? Because if I do that, I am able to then really be able to wish for others to be happier. But not only that, the more I wish that to happen, the more I start to engage my body and my speech in making that true. Hmm? Because every action of the body, every action of the mind comes from every action from the body, every action of speech comes from the mind first. So if my mind is in bed, is kind of like, coming, is completely mm, moistured, I like to say, moisturized, I don't know if that's the word, but with uh, this love, then everything that I'm going to do is going to start being or creating the causes for that love to actually be achieved, to be realized. Does it make sense? Are we communicating? Yes? Mason? Yes.
Yes.
Is it making sense? As you are the thermometer, So it's like if it's making sense for you, it should make sense to all of these old people, old students here. They are old people as well, but there's definitely old students. Especially Bob. Bob is very old, so. So, in the same way, not only we want to be happy, but we also want to be free from our suffering. And that wish of wanting ourselves to be free from suffering is called self-compassion. That's the definition of compassion, is wanting ourselves and others to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So then we start to understand that actually what makes us to suffer is when we are under the control of those negative emotions. It's when we are completely out of our minds and completely obsessed with something or someone that it literally is like, we need that because if we don't have it, we're going to not be happy, right? Or when someone does something to us, tell us something, or accuses of something, or say something nasty about us, or to us, or to someone else that we know, they kind of like gossip around us, or criticize us. All of that anger immediately comes out. you know, that wish for this person to be very far away from us or something happens to them. When we are under the control of these negative mental states, we are absolutely in pain, isn't it? We are pain. We are not relaxed, open, with the mind kind of like, open, the open heart, relaxed, peaceful. We are like, you know, disturbed, completely disturbed. The mind doesn't stop actually, right? We have that feeling that the mind is continuously, and we need a break from that mind. Oh, how we definitely need a break. So that those mental states, they are not only in the moment, in the present moment when we are under the influence of them, they are making us suffer. Guess what? They are very perverse because then they lead seeds or habits in our minds, making us repeat those experiences and those patterns, making us then having the same experience and suffering and then problems and then again and again, dissatisfaction again and again and again in this never ending cycle. Does it make sense? Yes? Can you recognize that? Can you recognize that sometimes even though life goes around and situations are different and people are different in our lives, guess what? We still have situations that look like exactly the same. Even Bob, in his old age, he says, I can't believe I'm here again. I was here when I was 20 and I'm here again. 50 years later. That's what happens to us.
That is so true.
But that's because of the mind, right? The mind creates that kind of like mental state that creates those habitual patterns and tendencies, believing that this is the way that we need, huh? The way that we need to approach, and the way that this is, if we respond or react in this way, we're gonna be free from that suffering. That's what we need to do. We need to be angry. We need to hate this person. We need to do something about it. So then we continue. But guess what? We create more suffering, more suffering, more suffering, more suffering. So we want to eliminate that. We want to be free from that. And as we said, equally, yes, exactly the same, each and every one of us wants the same, to be free from those negative emotions, those negative habits, those kind of like disturbing, yes, mental states. So when we think, you know, oh, wow. Because normally, when we actually feel some sort of compassion, normally we have an idea that is more external type of sufferings, right? When we see someone on the street who is hungry, or someone asking for food, or asking for money, or asking for, or being in the cold, or someone that is sickness, there's some sickness or pain, or, we normally that's the type of the moment that compassion normally arises in us, isn't it? Yeah. Well, sometimes comes up pity, pity. I'm like, but that's not really compassion, because pity. How do you say that? Yes,
Yes.
pity,
Pity.
pity,
Pity. Pity.
pity. So what happens is that we look a little bit up and say, oh yes, this person, poor person, yes, she's he or she is suffering, they are suffering, but me, no, I'm here. We don't have pity. But the problem is that type of suffering, the type of wish for that suffering to be free from, especially family, friends that we see. Yes, that is some sort of compassion, which is very good that we can develop. But in Buddhism, we want to develop great compassion, biggest. We are that's why we are very good. I think Buddhism is very suitable for Americans. We want to supersize everything. We want big things. So big compassion, greatest compassion, huge compassion, we say. Why? Because that compassion is by not only thinking about eliminating that suffering for all beings, every single person, every single animal, every single being in the universe, we also want to eliminate the real causes of suffering, the negative emotions and the habits, the disturbing habits, the negative habits. So when I try and I start to think about eliminating like the suffering and the causes of suffering of others, I start to understand that it's not only giving food, shelter, money, and all of that, or even kind of like giving a good like a positive word or something like this. It's actually trying to help them eliminate those disturbing emotions, those selfish attitude in their minds, right? So having that as a basis, great love, great compassion, hmm, we start to think what we need to do that. Hmm? How? How can we do that? Especially if we really look into our lives and if we are honest with ourselves, which is very important in Buddhism. Honesty and courage. Yes? We need to have courage to look into our minds and realize, okay, what's going on there? And we need to have honesty to really do these analyses. So when we're doing these analyses with honesty and courage, we start to realize that we don't even have love and self-compassion for ourselves. Actually, we slide, as I like to say, in directly into our old patterns, and habits of looking for happiness into temporary sensory pleasures. It's just so immediate for us, right? Between doing meditation or watching Netflix. Meditation or studying Buddhism or watching scrolling endless on Instagram. Doing that or having a good burrito. Or doing that or just having pizza and chit chats like something or watching something stupid. Right? Easy. It's just so easy. It's just like it's just as I like to say, slide in the sense of like, sliding. It has that visual aspect of we don't have control. When you are in a slider, sliders we call, yeah, like a water slider, like when you go to
Water
a
slide.
water slide, like when you go to those the parks, water park, yeah. So, you can't hold it. You just like when you're inside of that tube, you're gone, zoom, right? And there's always someone that goes on top of you. So, you guys like after, and then you're like, like this. So what happens is that actually those moments are just coming, 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 right? So we don't have that control of the way we actually gonna be happy, right? We don't have that mind that can stay or think, you know, about happiness, about, making sure or thinking how wonderful would be if Mason, if Bob, if Debbie, Jack, Isabel would be happy, right? I don't think about that. It doesn't come naturally. It's not something that it really pops up, right? So, because that is the mental state, cultivating that mental state of wanting them to be happy is what is going to bring me happiness. Yes? It's how I'm going to achieve the lasting, peaceful type of happiness that I actually want. But it's so strong, the habitual tendencies to just go into temporary sensory pleasures as the source of that, or the method, or or the belief that these types of experiences will cause, yes, will be the cause for our experience of lasting peaceful happiness, right? Believing that eating the burrito, which is going to finish, is going to be able to give me long lasting peaceful happiness. Impossible, right? But my mind, it's actually, even though it's all the time changing, there is a continuity. And that continuity never ends, ever. But the mind changes from negative emotion to maybe a little bit positive, all of that. But if I cultivate the correct, mental states, I can have continuously, all the time, permanently, positive mental states all the time. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
I just throw something very deep and very kind of like important for us to understand.
Yeah, makes sense.
Bob, yes?
Yes.
Because if the mind is continuous, if the mind is permanent, and we can actually cultivate positive mental states, that is how the mental state of long lasting, peaceful happiness, permanent happiness is possible to be achieved. Does it make sense?
Yes.
By cultivating these positive mental states all the time. So that is what we are trying to develop. But if we are trying to develop that, how can we, in our honesty and our courage and our humility, be able to really achieve and help others to achieve that if we don't achieve ourselves? Right? So now comes the question mark that is like, okay, you're trying to tell us then we shouldn't help anyone, that we should just focus on our own happiness, right? That's what normally I have a very funny friend that we have big discussions because he says Buddhism is very selfish, you know? And I always try to talk to him that I understand that it can look like this, but it's because he's not really understanding the point. Because if the point of Buddhism is that cultivating a mind of great love and great compassion, a mind that thinks about happiness of others, and a mind that thinks about others being free from suffering, how can these be selfish? Right? What it happens is that we start to understand that, oh, I'm not able to do these right now. I am not able to achieve that. I'm not able to only not keep that mental state all the time, but that mental state doesn't transform into action, into speech. So I really need to create a very strong mental state, a very strong intention, a very strong motivation, so I can truly accomplish that. You know? So what is that mental state that can create that? Well, if I cannot do help others right now truly achieve lasting happiness, and if I cannot help right now with because I am under the control of my negative emotions, if I'm under control of my selfish mind, how can I help others to be free from their negative emotions, from their selfish mind? So what do I need to do? I need to myself eliminate the causes of my suffering and eliminate the causes, of the causes of my suffering, right? And I myself need to create the causes and perfect my own lasting happiness. So now we need to really understand that mental state, which is a perfection of the qualities and the perfection of the positive mental states, and a mind and the mental state that is at the same time perfect of positive mental states and completely eliminated or free of cessation, like has cessation of the negative emotions and the causes of suffering and the negative self-cherishing, self-grasping, selfish attitude. If I am free, completely free from that, and I am, and never coming back, and this is my mind perfected of qualities of the good, of the positive intention, the positive mental states, emotions, all the time, that is the mind of a Buddha. That is the enlightened mind. This is the definition of enlightenment, or an enlightened being, or a Buddha. So when I understand that, and I understand that a Buddha is someone that has the completely perfect wisdom, completely unconditional, unlimited compassion and great love, and a mind and a wish and has the Skillful means to help others achieve lasting peaceful happiness permanently in their minds, the mental state, the mental continue, and being free, eliminating all the causes of suffering from their mental continue. When I understand that, I say, wow, the way that I can achieve that for myself so I can help others is becoming a Buddha. I want to become a Buddha. I wish to become a Buddha. I wish to perfect my mind, my positive qualities, and I wish to eliminate completely the cause of my suffering. I want that. So I can have unconditional love, unconditional compassion, perfect wisdom, and perfect skillful means to help others. That wish of wanting to become a Buddha, wanting to become an enlightened being, wanting to have the perfect mind of, of a full and awakening, a full enlightenment, wanting to have the mind that is completely perfect, all of the good qualities, the positive qualities, and the mind that is completely free from all elimination of all the mental negative states, self-cherishing, eliminated everything. That is what we call bodhicitta mind, the wish to achieve enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, all beings. And when we talk about benefit, is this twofold aspect of benefiting by helping them to eliminate their own suffering and their own causes of suffering, and helping them and leading them to develop the causes of their own stable, permanent, peaceful, long-lasting happiness. So I really, really, really want to achieve enlightenment tomorrow. Because not only by achieving enlightenment, I achieve my own goal, my own two goals, right? Of eliminating my suffering and perfecting, arriving, achieving, realizing my full happiness, I can help others to do the same. Truly, like truly. And why I say truly is because only by having achieved that myself, I can show you the way. If I never been to New York, if I am going to try to lead people to New York or how to get there, it's going to be a joke. I don't even know where to get there, how it is. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Yes.
Yes.
So that is the idea of this bodhicitta mind, of this enlightened mind, right? Of this bodhicitta attitude, motivation, intention. Is that mind that it, and the more we do it, the happier we become. So there's no way that this bodhicitta mind, this wish to achieve enlightenment to benefit others, can cause us burnout, can cause us, suffering, can cause us like dissatisfaction. Because the more we create that mental state, the happier we become ourselves. So whenever we are trying to help others and we have burnout, or we think, oh, like helping others is bad, or I don't get it, or blah, 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 whatever negative idea that it comes with the helping of others, the generosity that we have for others, the support or whatever, is because it's not coming from bodhicitta attitude, motivation, but it's coming from attachment. Yes? So guess what? Now comes the truth, the good part of it. We all have the potential to develop that mind. And that mind can be cultivated everywhere, anywhere, all the time, with whoever you are with. It's not something magical that only exists when you go and sit and listen to the monk or when you're in the Buddhist center. It's actually a mental state that is within you all the time. because that's what you are actually wanting all the time, to be happy and to not suffer. So it's always there. But what is not there is that understanding of what really brings about the result of lasting happiness and peaceful happiness and, perfect happiness. That's what is not. It's not the wish in itself. The wishing then, the transformation of the wish, or the improvement or the development of the wish to be happy and to not suffer, what is going to change when we develop the mind of bodhicitta is the how. How I'm going to do that and why I am doing it. The how is by becoming a Buddha myself. That's how I'm going to achieve my wish for happiness and my elimination of suffering. And the why am I doing that? Not because I only want happiness for myself, because equanimity, remember, equally, it's exactly the same. My wish, that wish for happiness and free of suffering, and the wish of each and every one of us. Is it making any sense? Is it warming in any way your little big hearts?
Yes.
Yes. Because
Yes.
that is the idea. We have it. It's here. It's now. We can do it anywhere all the time, as long as we keep that understanding, right? That's why Rinpoche, Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to say that as long as we do everything with bodhicitta mind, with that bodhicitta attitude, that bodhicitta idea, wish, that bodhicitta wish, the bodhicitta motivation, the bodhicitta intention of wanting to become a Buddha, right? In order to benefit all sentient beings, then if I do that, all my life becomes that. Then I have no doubts what to do with my life. I don't ask if I should, go and have Nutella or go and have burrito. It's not a choice of liking or don't liking anymore. It's a choice of what is most beneficial for sentient beings, which might be not eating any of them and go for a salad. Just kidding. Maybe going and having pizza. Actually, there's a very nice, me and Bob, we discovered in the Italian restaurant close to the center, there's a very nice pizza that looks like a star. It's very nice, very good pizza. So next time I'm there, we're going to go for pizza over there. Everybody, okay? We're going to go big pizza day. So that is what we actually start to understand. Wow, I have this potential and I can do that to myself and to others. My life really can become useful. My body, the way I use my body, the way I use my speech, the way I use my mind, I can do that to benefit others. And I can stop, by doing it, I can stop suffering in this tiring way of never having what I actually want. You know? When I used to work with someone, we had these very nice teachings this weekend with one teacher here in the center in Brazil, and very sweet and very kind. And he said, "Oh, normally, we come to the Dharma when everything is like, not working well for us, and but if we are, everything is working well, we don't actually look." And it's true. But working well doesn't necessarily means working out externally, but internally, right? It's like, because I remember that everything was working very well externally for me when I was in finance, working in banking and, in private equity and all of these but that dissatisfaction of having it all and never finding a moment of peace and quietness and true satisfaction, right? Because the next moment was gone, because the next moment was gone, because it was not anymore, oh yes, not 50 days, or like, it's not anymore the food, it's not anymore this, or it's not anymore the new car, it's not anymore, it's just always this constant dissatisfaction. It was too much, right? I just needed to actually try to find a way to fulfill that. So Buddhism comes as a different approach and saying, yep, we all been there. We all are doing that all the time. And the confused mind that thinks that the selfish, self-centered attitude is the way, right? And believing that the temporary sensory pleasures is the way or is the goal that we can achieve, very mistaken. And believing that only, like, doing that because, and thinking that our sensory pleasures are the priority and more important than everyone else's, also a big mistake, right? So that is what we need to start understanding, familiarizing ourselves with. If we start familiarizing ourselves with that, life becomes so much easier and much fun, lots of fun, because we are not anymore, how do I say, cheated by the selfish mind. Yes? We are not more fooled by that. Yeah? We are not anymore looking for it in kind of like, relationships that will never give us that. So then, if I know it, then the way I'm going to approach my relationship with my partner, my children, my family, my friends, my, colleagues at work, the people at the supermarket, the people at the beach, or whatever, whoever, the people that I hate, the people that I have difficulties with, I start to understand, oh, it's not in there. It's actually by allowing my mind to think in this way, that's what is causing me to suffer. But when I transform it and I start to think, may actually they find lasting, peaceful happiness because they have the potential within their minds, because it's a mental state. So they can do it. But then it becomes the tricky part, because if it is a mental state, guess what? We don't change people's mind. We can't color and change people's mind. The best we can do is to change our own. And then we can develop, the necessary wisdom, the necessary compassion, the necessary skillful means to do it, to help others. That's what we can. And then our lives become extremely pleasant and happy, because the more we do it for ourselves, the more we want to do it for others. So the more we actually, approach or get our minds into becoming a Buddha, the happier we become, and the more we actually have possibilities or skillful means or wisdom to actually help others, to also become Buddhas. That's what we're trying to do, actually. But Buddha is not something out there. It's just a mental state, right? You don't become someone like you need to be born in Asia or in India or Nepal 2,600 years ago. That's not what Buddha means. Buddha is just a mental state. Actually, that was the third kind of like Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, that one that we know about 2,600 years ago. But since then, we had thousands, hundreds and thousands and millions and billions of Buddhas, people becoming enlightened. The difference is that the teachings of the Buddha, that Buddha 2000 that appeared 2,600 years ago, that we call Shakyamuni Buddha Siddhartha, those that read the book. Herman Hesse, very nice book. When we actually, what happens is that those teachings are still valid. They are still helpful. 2,600 years ago, they're still helpful to us, isn't it? So there's no need for them to manifest new teachings. Does it make sense what I'm saying? We can still use their method, the methods that Buddha Shakyamuni showed, for us to develop our minds. I don't know who's Daleth Aponte, but I'm very happy you are there putting these fingers. I'm very, very happy when you put these little fingers. So Haley as well. Haley also sometimes put little fingers. I like it. So what happens is that we are being able to I love this as well. What happened is that we are so fortunate to have these teachings, right? To have those possibilities and those incredible beings that have, really realize these teachings and perfect these teachings, so we can be inspired by them and say, wow, I can do that as well. But not only I can, the transformation that we really want is I want to. I want to do this. Because the moment that we decide I want to, nobody holds us back, right? When we say, oh, yes, I want to become a Buddha, I'm going to do it. So we just then start really practicing, practicing to cultivate positive emotions, practicing to eliminate, negative emotions, negative self-cherishing, self-grasping. We start to eliminate it because we want that. It's hard. Yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort, but we want and we don't care. It's like when we want to, to become whatever you guys study, whatever you guys, did for life, whatever you wanted to buy your house or something like this. You also put effort in that, didn't you? Right? Some type of effort is needed. But guess what? This effort that you're going to do it, this energy that you're going to put into transforming your mind in this way, best thing ever. The benefits of it are countless, impossible to measure. Much better than becoming, doctor or whatever in this life. Much better, you know? Because then all your life makes sense and everything that you do becomes of benefit for you and for others. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Do you understand why we should develop the mind of enlightenment? Yes? The bodhicitta mind? Yes? Why we want to do this? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And does it make sense the how? Is it clear the how we try to do it? Yes?
Yes.
Good. And
However,
yes, please save me, Bob, so I can drink some water. Tell me.
there is that small issue of putting it into practice.
Tiny, tiny, tiny issue.
As I've said previously, it's somewhat daunting.
Mm. But I'm gonna say you, especially for you, this. When you were starting with your investments, maybe you were a little bit more cautious in the beginning, right? And when you started to become a little bit, to see the results of these investments and get a little bit more confident in yourself and your potential and how you could manage things, then you became a little bit, how do you say, braver, and then you started to take a little bit more risk, right? And therefore, the return was also bigger. Hmm? So it's exactly the same. You start from where you are and what you actually can, but you go with that intention of, yes, developing and taking more risks because you know the return is bigger and better for yourself and others. Hmm? So then the mind becomes not so afraid. It doesn't become so daunting. Hmm? Because you
Yes.
slowly you can feel and you can experience from yourself, from your own uh, results, right?
Yes.
So then with time, and then it becomes like wow, because it becomes fulfilling, really fulfilling, and not just like another return of another money, and then but then I'm gonna need more money, right? It's the opposite. It's like that feeling of dissatisfaction starts to become less dissatisfied, therefore more satisfied. So then it becomes the satisfaction becomes bigger and the dissatisfaction becomes smaller. So then it becomes even easier to do it. Because the lasting type of happiness, we start to become happier, more than actually like, having negative emotions. So that is very encouraging. Or negative emotions and the suffering that we have, they become shorter, like meaning they're still coming, but they become less. You are able to catch your selfishness. And because you want to benefit others, it's easy to let it go and say, yes, you are right, and I am wrong. Without any guilt, without any type of, kind of like manipulation of also wanting that person to be happy with you, simply because, this is inner in your own guts that is creating the causes of your own happiness and creating less suffering for others, right? So then life becomes playground for practicing bodhicitta, right? So then we can become extremely creative, curious about how, to do it. How we can do that. Because each of us individually needs to understand how our selfish mind manifests. Hmm? So how we need to decrease it is depending on the way it manifests, right? So if my selfish mind manifests by eating all the burrito and not sharing it with any of you, then, every time we go to having burrito, I offer it all. Or I offer a little piece and then half. And then I have it offer it all and I become even happier than if I had had the burrito. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? And not because I don't care or not because I didn't want, kind of like, oh no, I don't want this. Oh no, no. It's like, yes, I want it and I offered in any way and I became happier. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Yes. So this is the power of the mind, of the positive emotion, right? Of the mind of bodhicitta, of the mind of wanting to achieve enlightenment in order to benefit others. So I need to practice more and more. Then life becomes practice. So then I want to really develop, wisdom. I want to develop compassion. I want to develop, skillful means. And how are we going to do it? By making a lot of mistakes, but doing it. It's the same as any material success. If you're going to talk to any person, you know, we all know it's not because they always had it all perfect, right? It's because when they made mistakes or things got difficult, they actually kept going, you know? And they had the tools and they learned from the mistakes and they kept evolving. Does it make sense what I'm saying in this, making this correlation here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correlation. I like this word. Very good. Very fancy word. So, any more questions? Or
Yeah. So
Mm.
what's more what's more important to develop first? Great love or great compassion?
So we can say in there's a training, a method, um, especially in the 7th century, um, some of the Indian masters they call the 7 points cause and effect, right? Or 6 points and one result is also this another name. And it's a step-by-step process, right? So we kind of like we develop some mental states and some meditations. So it's like we contemplate on something, we kind of like learn about it, then we contemplate, then we meditate on something. And love sometimes comes first than actually compassion in that method. However, Lama Yeshe and His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, they both say something that I find it very true, is that one thing um, helps the other, right? Because the more you actually want others to be free from suffering, the more you become happier and you become, like your mind becomes open and your heart becomes warm. So you receive the benefits of it. So therefore, it's easier to develop, love for others. And when you see others, happy, and then you see people being happy, and then, you say, oh, wow, and it would be so good that if they could keep that and be completely free from suffering. Hmm? So they are kind of like feeding each other, they go making each of like, how do you say, feeding or um, improving, developing, each other. They go kind of like hand by hand. So it's not one or the other, like, I should do this first, and then they go hand in hand, yes. So, like something like this. It's just really, they go helping one the other. So that is very important. Yeah, does it make sense, sweetie? Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. Someone else? Any other questions or doubts? Mason?
Yeah, I had a question. Um, I was I have a problem where I legitimize and I other people's opinions about me and
Mhm.
uh take it to like have to take everyone what every person says very personally sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to maintain an inner mind
Mhm.
that's still calm and clear,
Mhm.
but I feel like the corruption from the outside gets into my own inner system. And
Mhm.
it's because part of me, I think, is drawing that in still. Um, so I was just wondering how to maintain, I guess, a stable mind, even
Mhm.
if, and not take those other people's opinions like seriously.
Mhm. Yes, very good. Very beautiful question. Um, so many things we can actually think about it. Dharma is so vast and so rich because it's about understanding the mind and the subtleness and the mechanics of the mind. But in some ways, the reason why we actually take personally, or you use a very nice word that I don't know if I can repeat, legitimize,
Legitimize.
Yeah.
legitimize other people's opinions is because we believe them as the source of our happiness, right? We believe, or the source of our suffering, right? We believe that the external aspects, right? As we, the same way that we believe the Nutella is the source of, the pleasure or happiness, we also believe that whatever people are saying and talking about us, it's either the cause of our suffering or the cause of our happiness. But actually, in and by themselves, they are just words. And they are words that kind of like have a meaning, but even if they have a meaning, they are temporary, right? And they are describing something that in and by itself is temporary. Because nobody's fixed permanently, frozen in a certain way. What actually happens is that we forget about that. Situations happens to us about ourselves and we just freeze. We just hold. We just tighten our ideas about ourselves, our own ideas about ourselves. And what happens is that we start to believe that we are like this, or we have to be like this. And this is gonna be when I am like this, or if I change something about this, I am gonna suffer. If I am like this, I'm gonna be happy. If I am not like this, I'm not gonna be happy. If I am not like this, I'm not gonna suffer. The moment I start to really believing these ideas about myself, then I become a slave of everything and anyone that kind of like harms or thinks differently than this. This is when we actually take things so personally, is because we have a very tight sense of self, sense of, of how I should be and how things should be and how I have to, I must, I this. It's right. And the reason why you're doing that is because you're a bad person, is because you're stupid, is because you're wrong. No, sweetheart. No way. That's normally what the mind is tricking us, yes, in saying that the reason why we are. But actually, it's because we are believing that acting, that thinking, that behaving, that being in a certain way will bring us happiness, long-lasting happiness, and will help us to be free from suffering. That is the reason why. So if we believe in that, then we're going to find or look for anything that corroborates.
Corroborates.
Corroborate.
Corroborate.
Corroborates that idea. Yes? And we're gonna have aversion, fear, or anything that actually is against that. But this is based on fixed ideas of who we are. And if we actually look, our lives are always changing. And we might behave in a certain way or in another based on what? The negative emotions, the emotions we have, and the habits, the mental habits. So we are not in any way. Not even the worst person is a worst person all the time. Sometimes they are nice, kind, and loving. So these fixed ideas about ourselves makes us suffer a lot. They are our own prison. We are putting ourselves in our own prisons. Instead of coming with a more open-minded and with that sense of love and compassion, realizing that certain mental states actually don't help me feel happy, actually make me suffer. When I come and I start to see myself, I have to be, this should be, none of that, and I start to be tight and, unkind to myself, that mental state, not very good to have it, not very good to feed it, not very good to entertain. And at the same time, realizing that when I am actually being kind and loving towards others and towards myself, then my mind is open and happy. So maybe these I should develop more. Having that discernment, that inner wisdom. Does it make sense what I'm saying, Mason?
Yeah, it does.
Does it hit something?
Yeah, I just I can recognize when it happens, when I have a reaction, when I take something personally, like as soon as it happens. But
Yes,
then like
good.
what happens after that moment is like up in the air. I start questioning like if it's actually true what they're saying, and I'm like,
Yes,
how do I process this?
yes,
What's
yes.
happening right now?
Yes, very good. So, when the mind goes like this, and then you can realize it's like, oh, I'm feeling here. So we really can do two things. One is try to um counteract the negative mind that is coming. Sometimes, normally, what it comes when someone criticizes us or says some things about us is that anger comes, no? Or doubt, self-doubt. Yes? So self-doubt is some sort of also anger towards oneself. Yeah, frustration towards oneself, which is a type of anger. Let's call it like this. What does it mean? It means that I'm not having what I want. So wait a minute, is this really, So doubt is a good mind because we can doubt in the sense of like, does it actually make sense to continue with that mental state or not? So that's a good type of doubt. Hmm? Or a doubt that makes me think about my own mind and my own behaviors and say, oh, yes, I was a little bit selfish there and that was not nice. And oh, yeah, maybe I didn't actually think about this person's feelings. And, so that is a good type of doubt. But a doubt that makes us, you know, doubt our own goodness, doubt our own potential, doubt our own possibilities of change. That is not really realistic. So that is the idea that we need, to develop those understandings of what positive emotions are, what negative emotions are, so we can really pay attention to them and use counter measures or opposite mental states. So when you start to see and like, oh, why is this person doing this? So then you can either sometimes go to this person and start to criticize this person. This person is like this, blah 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 blah. And if you look and you say, wait a minute, this person is doing that not because of me, nothing to do with me. It's actually because this person is wanting to be happy and not suffer. Does it make sense? Yeah. Or you can actually try to say, oh, why am I doubting? Why am I kind of like feeling like bad? Why am I feeling that I'm not good enough? Why am I believing what this person is saying? Right? Well, because then you have a very strong idea of that, or guilt, or that kind of like idea of like, I am bad by nature. I am like this, and guess what? Nobody is 24/7 like that. You might act like this, and the reason why you are acting like this because of negative emotions and the patterns, habits. And the reason why these negative emotions and patterns and habits are arising, because you believe that they are going to bring you happiness and they are not going to bring you suffer. So that doesn't make you a bad person. Just a little bit ignorant, like all of us. Are we communicating, Jason? Is that Mason? Is that
Yeah. And I don't want to like take up a lot of time, but if I could ask one more follow-up question.
yes, you can, because these people are very kind and patient, and if they are not, they're going to be scolded. So don't worry.
Okay. When I have these doubting thoughts that go through my head
Yes,
and I get to the point where I'm deciding, is what this person's saying legitimate or is it credible or not?
yes,
Um, a lot of times it's not. I think it's not credible at all. I think a lot of it's just blaming and calling me names and
yes.
uh, cursing at me. Um, but there's still doubt in my mind that it's like, when do I know that I have the right mind? I guess the right mind. When do I know I
Mhm.
have the right mind to say that that person, what they said was actually not true and there's nothing credible or nothing to learn from that or to take seriously?
I think that it's a very good question because the moment that you're going to know that is when the mind is not um, selfish in the sense of there's only pain in the selfish mind. When you are kind of like thinking, oh yes, this person said that, and oh yeah, actually this helps me, right? When you think in a more positive way about it, as a way to kind of like actually these can be helpful so I can become a better person, so I can achieve, happiness for myself, so I can help others to be happy. When you have that mental state, when you really start to see that, then the mind is positive again, right? But when there is still self-doubt, there is still kind of like, and then the mind is still engaged like, or believing in that, what the person said. But there's another way of thinking that for me, what Lama Yeshe used to say is the very strong mental state that actually and helped me a lot in my own personal journey because we have a tendency of guilt or blame or shame or um, like aspects that society in some ways really strongly emphasize. And the reason why this comes is because, we have an idea of ourselves of being sinners or wrong, right? It's kind of like there's something wrong with us, there's something ultimately bad in us. Like something so stained that we cannot like erase, that we cannot clean it, that we cannot change. And Buddhism talks about the nature. Yes, we are taught to be born, that we are born sinners, right? Yes, Dalit is saying that. Yes, I don't want to blame any religion or something like this, but I'm just saying that we have that in society, we have that idea, and we really believe, and we ingrain that belief in everything that we do, and then the shame and the blame and the guilt becomes very truthful, very, very believable, right? We believe. But then Buddhism comes with one of the first talks of Buddhism is about the mind. It's how the mind works and what is the nature of our consciousness, right? Which is some ways the nature of our soul. And Buddhism says that our soul or our consciousness is pure, is inherently pure, can never be stained. It's like the sun and the blue sky. It's always sunny and always blue. Doesn't matter how crazy the wind, clouds, it doesn't matter how crazy the thoughts, the emotions, the actions, the speech that we engage, that we think, that we speak, that we act, it would never harm our own pure nature. Because if we would, then it would be harmed already. Because we do a lot of stupid things sometimes. But guess what? It doesn't stay. It comes and goes, comes and goes. So if it comes and goes, it means that is depending on causes. So if we create the causes, it appears. If it doesn't create the causes, it doesn't appear. And the reason why it can appear is because the mind is pure. It's like an empty space. Everything can appear. So if we really touch that understanding within ourselves, that potential for everything to appear positive, that we connect with that purity of our own beings, very hard for doubt and legitimating negative things about ourselves. Very hard. There's nothing to glue. It's like the clouds in the sky, they don't stay there, right? They stay and for a while and then they pass. Does it help in any way, Mason?
Yeah, it does. I just want to still be accountable for my actions too at the same time.
Yes. Being accountable for the actions is understanding the law of cause and effect. It means that actually, if you understand that you create the causes, right, in your own mind for being experiencing certain results or certain actions, and if you understand that whatever you think becomes your speech and becomes your actions of body, so then you really understand that you need to be very, very, very attentive to your mind. So one thing doesn't exclude the other. Actually, one thing complements. They're complementary, not contradictory. Because everything is spacious, so everything can arise. And if I understand that what makes things arise is intention, is the mind, so I need to really be careful with my mind. Does it make sense?
That's a struggle for me to understand.
Mm-hmm. Um, let's say that when we have a positive mind, this is very good because this is for everybody, right? So what we are discussing here is actually for everybody. It's not just for you. But when we have a selfish mental state, the result of it, it's actually that feeling of dissatisfaction, right? Is like, yes, we can have a temporary pleasure because we had that selfish mind of wanting to eat the chocolate cake by ourselves. But after eating the chocolate cake, what happens is dissatisfaction because you didn't get it. We didn't put it, right? So if I understand that this is the cause and effect result, that selfish attitudes create dissatisfaction, but when I actually am kind and loving towards someone else, that creates a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, right? A sense of happiness for me, for the other person. When I start to understand that cause and effect, then I start to understand that whatever I am experiencing and whatever am I doing is depending on the intention that I have, either selfish or a more positive altruistic one. So then I start to really want to become aware of my mind so I can eliminate the negative ones and improve the positive ones, knowing that they can be changed. So this is the ultimate responsibility. You take charge of saying, oh, if I am experiencing these negative emotions and I am, creating suffering for myself and others, I am doing it. So I need to stop. And I know that I can stop because my mind is by nature pure. So I know that it's just if I stop creating the causes, these things go away. Does it make a bit more sense?
Yeah.
So actually understanding what we say, the law of cause and effect or karma is ultimate freedom. Understanding that things depend on our minds and our intention is the best thing we can actually understand. Because then we know what we need, we start to understand that, oh, if I don't want to experience that, then I don't do it that. Oh, if I want to experience more that, then I do more that, right? So that inner discernment, wisdom, we start to develop. Does it make sense? So this is a great way, I think, to finish, to really kind of like close, what we've been talking about these ways that if you really want to achieve ultimate happiness and if you want to eliminate completely the suffering, generate bodhicitta mind. Cultivate the intention to become a Buddha to benefit others. That is the key. Because of what we just discussed with Mason, you know, cause and effect. If you create the cause, guess what? If you wish to become a Buddha, you're gonna become a toaster. No, you're gonna become a Buddha. That's what you're gonna become. Right? So cultivate that mind. Try to cultivate in everything that you do before anything that you do, any meeting, any talk, any situation. Just try to have that. Oh, may I be able to eliminate completely the selfish and the negative mental states of myself and others, And may I be able to really be happy, lasting happiness by wishing others and applying that wish and cultivating that wish, not only for all beings, but really to do it, to really engage in actions that will help them to achieve that, not only temporary but long lasting. Yes? So then life becomes beautiful, full, lasting fountain. We don't need you're gonna be you don't need coffee anymore. You're gonna be full of energy. Even you, Jack. You're gonna taste coffee for the sake of tasting coffee, not because you need to be awake. You know, it gives us infinite, unlimited energy. Yeah. Okay, so I hope anything that we spoke today, anything that we discussed, anything that we did, not only today, but in the past 4 or 5 weeks, may it be of any benefit. And the type of benefit that we want is the benefit to eliminate the suffering and the causes of suffering for ourselves and others and all sentient beings. And the type of benefit that we want is to actually create the causes for our ultimate happiness and all sentient beings' ultimate happiness. And that means is that we become a Buddha immediately, tomorrow, go into the toilet today, like this. That's what we want. Yes?
Yes.
So that's what we're gonna try to dedicate for, that we can use that for our day-to-day lives in everything that we do, every person, every situation, anything, everything that we do may be in bed, maybe having that as a basis of our actions of body and speech and mind. Okay? And of course, we dedicate for us to continue having the necessary conditions to learning, to study, to contemplate, to meditate. And, for that to happen, we need places like Thubten Kunga, Ling, and we need, people that have done and walked this path to kind of like help us understand. That's why we need teachers like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So the Dalai Lama needs to have a long life. And our teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who passed away, but to have a swift return, so to be reborn, which he has been already, but that we can actually, find him and really learn from him again and again. Okay? So we dedicate for that, and we dedicate for all the suffering in the world to be eliminated immediately. All the wars, all the famine, all the problems, all the sickness, all of the mental problems, lots of mental problems in the world right now. A lot of like depression, stress, burnout, and people, fighting and having arguments because of mental problems. Well, mental health doesn't mean, just kind of like, of course, clinical mental health, but that mental health of, suffering, mental suffering. So may these be eliminated immediately. And all the, problems like environmental problems also happening in the world, all of the problems to be eliminated, because all of them comes from the mind, the selfish mind. So if we eliminate the selfish mind, all of them disappear. Okay? So we dedicate for that. And I personally dedicate for each and every one of you to be very, very happy and have the causes of lasting happiness. And to thank each of you for being so kind to me and being here, listening, contemplating, meditating, and discussing. So I really, really hope that anything that we've done here together be for your own enlightenment immediately. Okay? Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. This was fabulous. Thank you. Can't
Thank
wait for
you. Let's
tomorrow.
see. Who's this young man over there? Hello, sweetheart. Who is it? That's the
That's
son.
Bob. Bob.
What's his name? Huh? James? Yes? Okay, next time I'm there, you come to the teachings, okay? We gotta have fun. Yes. Thank you, David. Thank you,
Thank you.
Margaret. Jason, you are
Thank
in your
you.
habitat. Very good. Okay, good
Thank
you're
you,
there
Joseph,
taking care of
Olive.
everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, especially you, Jack and Debbie and Mason and Isabel for being at the center as well. Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful night, everybody. Thank you. See you
Yeah.
tomorrow and Wednesday and Sunday. This week, many Cowden around. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.